So what are some reasons, different reasons for people to warm up? We have 5 here. We have body temperature. If you come in feeling cold, whether it's just the weather is cold or you just need to get to a specific body temperature before you feel ready to execute. If the muscle is too cold, maybe it doesn't allow you to produce force. What are some general ways to increase body temperature?
Well, increase heart rate. So in order to get our heart rate up, we need to move. So we need to move around. This exercise bike is a good example. As far as body temperature goes, this is a great way to raise body temperature because your entire body is moving. So it's like, it's a little bit higher grade than we would say walking on a treadmill, because we're getting our upper body and our lower body going at the same time. Clearing up space, which is when you come in, sometimes say you have a job that has you sitting down, some muscles will be tighter than others, and getting yourself on, I like to call it an even plane. You want everything to be more or less the same level of tightness.
Let's say, for example, I'm doing squats today and I need enough space in my shoulders to get under the bar, get into that low bar position, and I need enough space in my hips to be able to squat to depth. And let's say I'm coming in, my left shoulder is very stiff, I can't get into enough like external rotation to get under the bar, so I basically need to open up space in the back of my left scap. What are some ways, for this specific example, of warming up? How can we warm up for this thing so I can actually feel a little bit more comfortable, open up some space in my left shoulder to get under the bar, feeling a bit more comfortable in that low bar position?
Looks like we need to be able to protract some, and then we also need our ability to reach overhead to get a little bit better. One example could be offset all fours reaching drill, where we're simply breathing out of our backs and we're pushing through the ground, but we're trying to expand specifically out the top side of the back.
This will open up some space in the back of the left shoulder and let me externally rotate my shoulder a little bit better so I can get under the bar. And let's say for the hips, I'm having trouble dropping my hips straight down. What would be like a good warm up?
Grab like an elevation, put a weight in front of us so that our center of gravity gets pushed back a little bit, because we need to be able to get back. Simply going to push straight down, give us a nice stacked position. Like, space is context dependent. So for example, if I am gonna go run a marathon, there are constraints to space I need for running, and then there are constraints to space for sitting. There are constraints to everything. So in our purposes, we understand that our constraints are moving from something that is out there to moving to something that is in here. We have a certain amount of space that we were allowed out there for the functions we did out there, but now we're trying to change that space into something that allows us to do a squat, a bench, or a deadlift. Space is just simply
ability to hinge, ability to squat, ability to retract and protract. And depending on where you're missing that space, you do something specific for it. If I'm missing like a hinge capacity, I would do stuff to open up that space. But this is one specific example. It'll be very dependent on the lifter. Climbing technique, if you jump straight to your top set, your technique might not feel in groove. Gradually building up to a top set, touching 50%, 60, 70, 80%, gives you a chance to prime your technique. Why should I do the bar plate or 2 plate if technique is a limiter, let's say? Because
technique can change based on the amount of load that is used. If I don't have the opportunity to actually touch a certain weight, then it might actually move different. Tech is very intensity dependent.
If I know my technique needs to be primed, I would do just enough work with those lower intensities for the skill to come back. I forgot how to manage, like I'm not really good at managing my center of mass if I go straight into my top set, so I'm gonna practice managing my center of mass better on these. Maybe do like a tempo, pause, where's my center of mass? Okay, here. Then I kind of practice the skill of managing center of mass. So once I get to my heavier top set, I don't have to worry about cueing center of mass management because I've already done it with those lower intensities and the skill is primed.
Oh, alleviating pain, that's a good one. Same thing with space. If you're tight in one area, it can actually lead to movement compensations, which then can lead to overuse. A lot of times, if you don't warm up enough, your body will default into the tight areas. So all that means is once you start using those tight areas too much, you start overusing them, and then you start getting into pain from overusing them. That can happen from simply just not warming up enough. Your body wants to be fresh enough to do something big, but your body doesn't want to be surprised. If your body is surprised, it will actually default to right where it needs to be.
So basically letting the body put its guard down and feel safe. Obviously there is a million reasons why you would experience pain. The point is if you're having pain, maybe doing warm-ups, usually it helps. Maybe coming into the gym, you're feeling your front left hip is achy. You know, if you go straight into squatting, the pain is gonna only get worse and worse. So you would do some stuff to hopefully alleviate some of that pain. And it could be a million things. It could overlap with opening up space, and sometimes it would overlap with getting the body temperature up. But at the end of the day, it's what do I have to do to alleviate this pain? It could be isometrics, could be walking a little bit more, it could be stretching, could be anything.
Yeah, it's really just dependent on what pain it actually is, because if you know that it's something that's been going on for a while, you likely have specific protocol for the pain that you're in. Sometimes, you know, this warming up actually starts needing to happen more because you realize that there's pain on something. And usually you get body temp, you know, all that other stuff ready to go, and then you go to the bar, or you finally starting, and then you realize that the warming up that you did was still causing some form of, I cannot make my top set happen how I want. And so, and pain can be one of the things that can kind of inhibit that. So then you would have to warm up more, or you would have to do something in that way to address pain. And usually, like I said, that's something that you either know about coming in, you address it right away along with your other stuff, or you find out about it when you start lifting, and then you have to do things on hand, on the fly, to fix those things.
For reference, we did a video over injury management, which covers the big buckets of how we think about pain when it comes like programming and all the other variables. So pain can be a little bit more complex, just because like you need to be able to assess other things besides warming up. If you want more reference, I would go back and watch that video. And the last one is, I think some of it is like psychological too. The biggest psychological reason would be confidence. If I see my 120 kilo move pretty fast and 170, 220, they're all moving pretty fast before my top set, I'm gonna come into my top set with a lot of built up proof that this top set is gonna move well. So I feel more confident. My execution will be a little bit more fluid, less hesitation. It just kind of sets you up for this top set a little bit better. And some people don't need that.
Confidence is not only something that you're consciously thinking in your brain. Your body actually shows confidence as well. And that's something that I've noticed, at least through my journey, is I can be not very confident in my brain, but my body shows confidence in, you know, like the videos, in like, you know, the speed of the lift. Like, so confidence goes further than just a simple, you know, conscious emotion.
And I think they both kind of,
they run hand in hand.
They feed into, because like if you record your warm up, even though like it feels heavy on your back, but you go back and watch it and it just like flies off your back, you're like, okay, actually, I think
my body's confident.
my perception, my mental perception is probably not super accurate, because the speed of the bar objectively is moving pretty fast. So that also has like a psychological effect of, oh, actually I'm moving really well, like I'm strong, even though it feels heavy, it's moving really well.
Yep, body confidence.
Yeah, but yeah, those were like main fives.
Right.
Main 5 reasons.